Prothalamion, 1596. It is considered to be the second wedding song of Edmund Spenser. Of course, the first is Epithalamion. So, Prothalamion is modeled on his own marriage song, which is the Epithalamion, the first wedding song. Spenser, 1550 to 1599. He was a chivalric humanist, first unofficial poet laureate. His schoolmates were Cade and Lodge. Two of them were university wits. 1579, he entered Leicester's service. He got acquainted with Philip Sidney and poet Edward Dyer. 1580, he became secretary to Lord Wilton, Lord Deputy of Ireland. His famous works are The Shepherd's Calendar, The Fairy Queen, Epithalamion, Prothalamion, Amity, Colin Cloths, Come Home Again. Now, coming to our poem, Prothalamion. The poem celebrates the marriage of Catherine and Elizabeth Somerset, daughters of the Earl of Worcester. This word, Prothalamion, was invented by Spenser himself, which means spousal verse. The poem begins with a description of the river Thames, where Spenser finds two beautiful maidens. The poet proceeds to praise them and wishing them all the blessings for their marriages. The poet is standing near the Thames River and finds a group of nymphs with baskets collecting flowers for the new brides. The poet tells us that they are happily making the bridal crowns for Elizabeth and Catherine. He goes on his poem describing two swans and the Thames, relating it to the myth of Jove and Leda. According to the myth, Jove falls in love with Leda and comes to court her in the guise of a beautiful swan. The poet feels that the Thames has done justice to his nuptial song by flowing softly according to his request. Sweet Thames, run softly till I end my song. Written in Spenserian stanza, there is 8 lines of iambic pentameter followed by an alexandrine, that is iambic hexameter. The rhyme scheme is ABA, BBC, BCC. So this is the first stanza of Prothalamion. Calm was the day, and through the trembling air, sweet breathing Sapphirus did softly play, a gentle spirit that lightly did delay. Hot Titan's beams, which then did glister fair, when I whose sullen care, through discontent of my long fruitless stay. In Prince Court and expectation vain of idle hopes, which still do fly away, like empty shadows did afflict my brain, walked forth to ease my pain along the shore of silver streaming Thames, whose rutty bank, the which his river hems, was painted all with variable flowers, and all the meads adorned with dainty gems, fit to deck maidens' bowers and crown their paramours against the bridal day, which is not long. Sweet Thames, run softly till I end my song. So it was a very calm day with a little breeze in the air, which cools things around. And it also lessened the heat of the brightly shining sun. So our poet was very much frustrated because he had many ambitions, political ambitions. He thinks that he wasted so much time at court and his political ambitions got failed, and now he do not find any hope. So he wanted to make him feel better, so he went along for a walk along the banks of the river Thames. The shore and the meadows surrounding the river were covered with flowers, beautiful flowers that could be hung up in young women's room, or it can made into crowns for their fiancés in advance of their wedding day, so which is not far away. So our poet is telling to river Thames to please be quiet, run softly until he finishes his poem. There, in a meadow by the river's side, a flock of nymphs I chanced to espy, all lovely daughters of the flood thereby, with goodly greenish locks, all loose and tied, as each had been a bride, and each one had a little wicker basket, made of fine twigs, entrailed curiously, in which they gathered flowers to fill their flasket, and with fine fingers cropped full fiercely the tender stalks on high. Of every sort which in that meadow grew, they gathered some, the violet, pallid blue, the little daisy that at evening closes, the virgin lily, and the primrose true, with store of vermeil roses to deck their bridegroom's poises against a bridal day, which was not long. Sweet Thames, run softly till I end my song. So, in a meadow by the river, our poet saw a group of nymphs. Nymphs are, mythological characters. They are considered to be the daughters of the river. So their hair was green and it was hanging down loosely, and they looked like brides. So each of them was carrying a basket. It was filled with twigs and full of flowers, and they were gathering from the meadow. The nymphs quickly and skillfully plucked all those flowers, blue violets, daisies, lilies, primroses, vermeil roses, etc., etc., and which they could use to decorate their bridegrooms on the wedding day, which was not far away. Once again, our poet repeats that line, "Sweet Thames, run softly till I end my song." With that I saw two swans of goodly hue come softly swimming down along the lea, two fairer birds I yet did never see. The snow which doth the top of Pindus strew did never whiter shew, nor Jove himself, when he a swan would be, for love of Leda, whiter did appear. Yet Leda was, they say, as white as he, yet not so white as these, nor nothing near. So purely white they were, that even the gentle stream, the which them bare, seemed foul to them, and bade his billows spare, to wet their silken feathers, lest they might soil their fair plumes with water not so fair, and mar their beauties bright, that shone as heaven's light. Against their bridal day, which was not long, sweet Thames, run softly till I end my song. Again, our poet sees two beautiful swans swimming down the river Lee. He had never seen such, beautiful birds. The snow on the top of the Pindus mountain has never been whiter than those swans. Not even the god Zeus, when he transformed himself into a swan in order to impress or seduce Princess Leda, was as white as those swans. And though people say that Leda was as pale as Zeus was, neither Leda or Zeus came close to being as white as these swans. So the swans were so white that even the calm river upon which they were on seemed, so the river seemed to be dirty. So that much whiteness was there for the swans. So So as such, the river told its waves not to touch the birds with those silky, the birds have very silky feathers, so the river should not pollute those birds, in order to prevent the waves from dirtying the lovely birds, or make them, you know show ugly, which was as bright as the sun. They will be on their wedding day, so which was not far away. Please be quiet, River Thames. He once again, or poet once again, request River Thames to run softly till he ends his song. Eftsoons the nymphs which now had flowers their fill ran all in haste to see that silver brood, as they came floating on the crystal flood, whom when they saw they stood amazed still, their wondering eyes to fill. They seemed they never saw a sight so fair or fowl so lovely, that they sure did deem them heavenly born, or to be that same pair which through the sky drove Venus' silver team. For sure they did not seem to be begot of any earthly seed, but rather angels, or of angels' breed. Yet were they bred of summer's heat, they say, in sweeter season, when each flower and weed the earth did fresh array, so fresh they seemed as a day, even as their bridal day, which was not long. Sweet hymns run softly till I end my song. So the nymphs were collecting flowers. They ran to see those silver swans was floating down the river, and when they saw them, the nymphs stood and they got wonderstruck because of that wonderful sight. That swans were very beautiful. The nymphs thought that they had never seen such lovely birds before. They felt that place very angelic, or they thought that they were mythological swans who drew the goddess Venus' chariot through the sky. So the swans were so beautiful that it seemed impossible that they were born from any mortal creature. So instead, the nymphs thought that they were angels, or the children of angels. So the swans were bred from the heat of the sun in the spring. This summer's heat, it implies Somerset, daughters of Somerset. Okay. So they seemed as new and fresh as their wedding day, which was not far away. Once again, sweet hymns run softly till I end my song. Then forth they all out of their baskets drew great store of flowers, the honour of the field, that the scents did fragrant odours yield, all which upon those goodly birds they threw, and all the waves did strew, that like old peneus waters they did seem, when down along by pleasant Thames shore, scattered with flowers through Thacely they stream, that they appear through lilies' plenteous store, like a bride's chamber floor. Two of those nymphs meanwhile to garlands bound of freshest flowers, which in that maid they found, the which presenting all in trim array, their snowy foreheads therewithal they crowned, whilst one did sing this lay, prepared against that day, against the bridal day, which was not long. Sweet hymns run softly till I end my song. So then nymphs took out their baskets, which was filled with flowers, and they picked them and threw them onto the swans and onto the waves of the river. So the river seemed like river Peneus in Greece, which flows through the Thames Valley in Thessaly. So now the river is covered with lilies, and it felt like it was a floor of a bridal chamber. Two of the nymphs wore flower crowns from the freshest flowers they could find in the meadow, and they presented these to the swans, who wore them on their foreheads. And another nymph sang the following song, which was prepared for them, for the swans on their wedding day. That for the swans means for the daughters. The daughters are compared to these swans. So their wedding day, which was not far away. Sweet Thames, run softly till I end my song. So the next lines are the song sung by this nymph. Ye gentle birds, the world's fair ornament and heaven's glory, whom this happy hour doth lead unto your lover's blissful bower. Joy may you have, and gentle heart's content of your love's compliment. And let fair Venus, that is queen of love, with her heart-quelling sun upon you smile, whose smile, they say, hath virtue to remove all love's dislike and friendship's faulty guile, for ever to assault. Let endless peace your steadfast hearts accord, and blessed plenty wait upon your board. And let your bed with pleasures chaste abound, that fruitful issue may to you afford, which may your foes confound, and make your joys redound upon your bridal day, which is not long. Sweet Thames, run softly till I end my song. So the song is like this, that you swans, who are the world's beautiful decoration and the glory of the heaven, the skies, you are being led to your lovers. You are going to get married, and I wish you all happiness and joy in your marriage. And I further pray that Venus, the queen of love, and her son Cupid will smile on you, and with their smiles, let it remove all the problems and troubles that will come to your life. And I pray that your hearts will be full of peace, your kitchens will be full of food, your bedrooms will be very fruitful, so that you get children, and children, with healthy children that will defeat your enemies, very strong children. And there will be always be joy in your place. The joy will overflow on your wedding day too, which is not far away. So sweet Thames, run softly till I end my song. So ended she, and all the rest around to her redoubled that her undersong, which said their bridal day should not be long, and gentle echo from the neighbour ground their accents did resound. So forth those joyous birds did pass along, adown the lea that to them murmured low, as he would speak, but that he lacked a tongue, yet did by signs his glad affection show, making his stream run slow. And all the fowl which is in his flood did dwell, gan flock about these twain that did excel the rest, so far as Cynthia doth shend the lesser stars. So they enraged well, did on those two attend, and their best service lend against their wedding day, which was not long. Sweet Thames, run softly till I end my song. So that was the end of the nymph's song, and everyone repeated that song, announcing the swan's wedding day was not should not be long, and it echoed throughout the meadow. So thus the joyful swans went down the river Lee. The water murmured as they passed, almost through the, though the river would speak to them if they were not, the river could not talk, but in poetic lines, they are able to talk. But he did make his affection clear by slowing down his current. The river Lee slowed down for the swans. And all the birds that lived on the river began to flock around the two swans, who were beautiful than any other birds, just as the moon is more beautiful than the stars around it. And here, Cynthia means moon. So in this way, they arranged themselves around the swans and waited on them and lent them their best service for their wedding day, and wishes and decorations, prayers and all that, which was, the wedding day, which was not so far. Sweet Thames, run softly till I end my song. This line is the refrain, which repeats at the end of every stanza. At length they all to merry London came, to merry London, my most kindly nurse, that to me gave this life's first native source, though from another place I take my name, an house of ancient fame, there when they came, whereas those bricky towers, the which on Thames broad-aged back do ride, where now the studious lawyers have their bowers, there whilom wont the Templar knights to bid, till they decayed through pride. Next, whereunto there stands a stately place, where oft I gained gifts and goodly grace of that great Lord which therein wont to dwell, whose want too well now feels my friendless case. But here fits not well old woes but joys to tell, against a bridal day which is not long. Sweet Thames, run softly till I end my song. So after some time they came to London, the whole group, the wedding party. So now here there is a change in that, that wedding tone. Here our poet says about his ancestry. London was where he was born and raised, and he was named after a different place. They come from old, well-known family. They came to a place where there were brick towers on the banks of the Thames, and now there are some law students staying there. But though in past there were the headquarters, that were the headquarters of Knights Templar, until that order crumbled due to pride. So next to the brick towers, there is a place where he often used to receive favors from the important men in his lives, whose protection he misses now, his friends, of course. So though it is inappropriate to meditate, to think upon those things. So when he mentioned about London, all these things came to his mind. Now he come back to tell about the joys of the wedding day, which is not far away. Sweet Thames, run softly till I end my song. Yet therein now doth lodge a noble peer, great England's glory and the world's wide wonder, whose dreadful name laid through all Spain did thunder, and Hercules' two pillars standing near did make to quake and fear. Fair branch of honour, flower of chivalry, that fillest England with thy triumphs' fame. Joy have thou of thy noble victory, and endless happiness of thine own name, that promiseth the same, that through the proudness and victorious arms thy country may be freed from foreign harms, and great Elysia's glorious name may ring through all the world, filled with thy wide alarms, which some brave muse may sing to ages following, upon the bridal day which is not long. Sweet Thames, run softly till I end my song. Again there is a change in the topic. That is, he tells about an aristocrat who brought honor to England, and whom the whole world admires. So on a recent mission, he terrorized the Spanish and made the cliffs on either side of the Straits of Gibraltar shake with fear. Man of honor, exceptional knight, the news of your triumphs travels across England. So he hopes that he will take them to victory so that everyone will remain happy forever. And the name itself promises happiness. And I hope that through your skill and your victories in war, other countries won't be able to invade England. So he hoped that Queen Elizabeth's name will also be celebrated throughout the world. Here he is kind of wanted to get favor from the Queen. That is why he praises her. So he somewhat wants to get favors from her. And then again he comes back to the topic of this wedding day, which is not far away. Sweet Thames run softly till I end my song. From those high towers that noble lord issuing like radiant Hesper, when this golden air in the ocean billows he hath bathed fair, descended to the rivers upon viewing, with a great train ensuing. Above the rest were goodly to be seen two gentle knights of lovely face and feature, beseeming well the bower of any queen, with gifts of wit and ornaments of nature, fit for so goodly stature, that like the twins of Jove they seemed in sight, which deck the baldric of heavens bright. They two forth pacing to the river's side, received those two fair birds their love's delight, which at the appointed tide each one did make his bride against their bridal day, which is not long. Sweet Thames, run softly till I end my song. So here comes the end of our poem. So from the tall battlements of the house, the same aristocrat whom he described above came out like the evening star Hesperus, who bathes his blonde hair in the ocean all day and then rises above the horizon at night. So that aristocrat came down to the river with many people following him. So among the crowd, two handsome knights stood out, who were the suitable match for the two brides. So they were, the poet also not forgets to praise them. They are so intelligent, they are well made, they seem like Zeus' son Castor and Pollock, who in Greek mythology became stars. They are part of the constellation Gemini. The two knights went down to the river to meet the two swans whom they loved dearly, and as per the wedding time they got married, and the wedding day now is not far away, of course. So sweet Thames run softly till I end my song, and there he ends his poem.